Hello guys and welcome to the channel. In this one we are going to learn how to build a click to tweet widget that you can incorporate into your website or your web app. Okay, so basically let me just quickly show you a use case for a widget like this. So this is a blog post, right, on something about business, right, and they have this section here that has this quote, and at the edge here we have this click to tweet. So basically, if you click on this click to tweet, it will open up Twitter and you'll be able to just easily tweet this text or this content. Well, that's what we're going to learn how we can build in this project. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in something here. I'll just say maybe hello friends. I'll just say something like welcome to my Twitter account or something like that. You can add a link if you want, but the idea is when whatever text you type in here, you can click on tweets, and what will happen is that it will open up Twitter and it will get the posts or the content of this your tweet box. So here you see hello friends, welcome to my Twitter account. So that's what we're going to learn how to build in this project. Okay, but right, there are other components to the project, right? So right here we have a text limit feature, right? So basically if I keep deleting, you see that this number here keeps updating. So let me just delete everything here, and here you see we have 50 characters, so we can type 50 characters. This can be set by you. So the moment I start typing, you see that it reduces, right? So that's what we're also going to be able to build. Then one last thing is that if you type and you get to 50 characters, okay, so let me just get to 0, and if you exceed it, so we're now in a negative number rather, you see that the color has changed to red and the button is disabled. Okay, so that's also like a challenge, right, that you can try out before you watch the video. Okay, but by the time I delete it and I get back to 0, I can now click on tweet and the color here has changed to black, or the color of this number has changed to black. So that's something we're going to have fun building in this project. By the way, I should say that this project is one of the projects I teach in my 100 days of JavaScript course. So this is my website, Xenotrust Academy, and if you notice, you see that I now have a new course, 100 days of JavaScript, I recently published. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll leave a link in the description for you if you are interested in sharpening your JavaScript skills. Basically the project is going to teach you how to build a project every day for 100 days. Okay, so you're just going to build so many projects and sharpen your JavaScript skills in the process. All right, thank you so much for supporting me. Let's get started with this one. And so this is just our normal template. We are going to be using Bootstrap to write our markup. All right, click and I'll open with live server. Okay, so we have hello world over there. All right, so here I'm going to create a let me just create a Bootstrap container, and let me bring this down. Okay, so here I'm going to change this MD to this column size to 6, right? And inside of this row I'm going to add a modifier class of box that I'll just use to center everything inside the row div. Okay, so basically let's add a form that will have a text area first. Oh, I needed to add share this on Twitter, so it's just going to be a paragraph that says share this on Twitter. So here let's add a text area, name ID. No, I'm not doing anything with this stuff. I'm going to reduce the rows to 5. Okay, maybe let me just reduce it to 5, man. Then I'm going to give it a class, so I should have actually said text area dot. So I'll give it a class of form control. see form control, and I will give it a font size of 5. Okay, so below the let me save that just to have it. Okay, so below the text area now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a button, but I want it to, I'm going to put that button inside a div, right? I actually like to look at what I'm doing. It helps me to, write my code with better understanding. So basically we've done 1 and 2, so we're here. So here I'm going to create a div, and that div is going to have a class of, let me see. Okay, first it's going to have a class of button. Okay, let me just open it up, right? And I'll then add some extra classes. But first, let me put in the content of the div. So first, I'm going to add a span, and this span is just going to say 50 for now. And I'll give this span some classes. So the first class will be limit. Then I'll add some padding to the span. So the padding is going to be padding on the x-axis, horizontal axis. I'm going to add 3, so px3, and then I'm going to give it a font size of 4. See, so that's it for the span. Then there is a button. Okay, so button with a class of btn and btn primary. The button will say tweet. Okay, so let's just save this and see what we have first. Okay, so this is what we have. Now what we want is we want this to be on this edge here. So I think I can actually just stay on this page now that it's just styling that is left. So on this div that we give a class of button, I am going to say I want it to be display flex. So d-flex, that's a bootstrap class. Then I'm going to justify contents. That should be justify content end. That will take it to the end. Come on, and I'll align items. So align hyphen, oh, it's actually align, yeah, items, center, and then I'll do some margin on the top. I'll just do margin on the top of 2 and save, and voila. So this is what we have, right? So the only thing we need to do, I think, now is to actually center it. So basically what I'll do is this box class I put on this row, I prefer to actually just center it with CSS. I can do it inside of the markup. Okay, so I'll come to my CSS and I'm going to say start here, and basically I'll just do my flex snippet, and I'll change this to box and save. So you see it puts it in the center. Okay, so it's amazing, right? Just that one single snippet can actually make my life easier. So let me see, I'm thinking of something. So I think that's it basically for the markup. Okay, so what we're going to do is in the next one we are going to add the JavaScript logic for the project. Okay, all right, so thank you so much for watching this one. See you in the next one. All right, welcome back, guys. Now we are going to add the JavaScript logic for the project, right? So first off, let's create some variables to target the elements on the page. So we're going to create query selector based variables. Come on, what's happening to my snippet? VQS. Okay, all right, so the first one is going to target the text area. We have just one on the page anyway, and I'm actually going to call it input. Okay, because it's it's a text area, but then we're typing something inside it, so it's fine calling it an input. Then I'm going to create for the button and for the limits, right? So this one is going to be btn, and it's going to target the btn as well. So dot btn, that's a class, and this one is going to target the limits. So this is going to be the limits, and the limit is actually this text here, this span with the class of limits. Okay, and I'm going to call it limit as well. Then I'm going to create another variable that will say, I'll say let max. This max will represent the maximum character that is allowed inside here. Okay, so I'll set it to 50. Okay, now I'll come down here and I'll create a variable. So I'll say const. The name of that variable is going to be update limit. Okay, because it's meant to actually check the number of characters against the limits, you know, that we set here, and then update it. So that's why I named it update limit. I could have said update character limit, but I didn't want it to be too long. Like I said in one of the videos, it's good practice to name your variables and functions to, you know, be descriptive of what they actually representing or doing. Okay, so we've created this function using the arrow function syntax, right? And here, first off, I'm going to get this limit element on the page and set it to the max. So I'll say limit dot text content, and I'll set it to be the max, okay, which is 50. So what this means is that it doesn't actually, we don't actually need to, in this index HTML, right, we don't actually need to have 50 here again, right? We can delete it, or we can even have 10. Let me just put, okay, I should just delete it actually. So you see here, what that means is that we'll not have anything here, but it will be imputed from JavaScript because we've set it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add an event listener on this text area, and remember we gave it a variable of input. So I'll say input dot add event listener, and I'm going to listen for when there is an input. Right, we're going to use an arrow function to access it like this. Now what do we want to do? Well, first off, let's define the input length, right? So I'll say let input length be equal to, well, input, which is what we have here, dot value dot length. Okay, so this variable input length is going to represent the number of characters inside of this text area. So I'll just say input dot value dot length. Okay, and don't worry, we're going to do a more, you know, I'll say a more robust project on character counts and stuff around it. Okay, so now that we've gotten the input length, we want to be able to update the I think it's better I just have something here, so I'll just have 10. Okay, or let me just have 100, even though we know it's 50, so that when I'm explaining I can just make reference. Oh, what did I do? That's not what I wanted. I wanted to put that in the span here. So 100 and save. Okay, so we have it here. Great. Okay, so now we want to update every time you type in something here. The idea is we want to be able to update this limit span, right? So, well, I would say limit dot text content, and I'll set it to be equal to max, right, which is what we set here to 50 minus the input length. So I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste that in. What this means is that, you know, we've set the limit here to 50, which is the max. Now we are saying that we want to update this limit every time somebody types into this guy, and basically we are just subtracting the number of characters here from the max. That's basically what we are just doing here. So I hope it is making sense. So now we're going to add an if else statement that will do something. So here I will say that if the input length is greater than the max, in other words, if what you've typed inside this input, the characters you've typed in the input, is greater than 50, because 50 is the max. Okay, even though we set 100 here, we're just setting 100 here from index.html so that it's different, just to show you that we're actually updating the value from JavaScript. Okay, when we are done with the project, we are going to remove the 100 from the markup and everything will be updated from JavaScript. But here we are saying that if the number of characters you've typed inside this input field is greater than the max, which we set to 50, what do we want to do? We want to do two things. Number one, we want to disable this button. So let's do it step by step. So the button is inside this variable of btn. So I'll say btn dot disabled equal to true. Okay, I'll close that. Okay, what's the second thing we want to do if the input is greater than the max, which is 50? We want to make this limit character red. So I would say limit dot style dot color, and I'll set it to red. Okay, else, because we must add an else statement. So else, I'll come here, grab, you know what, I'll actually just grab these two here and I'll paste it here. So else, we want to set the button on disabled to false, and we want to set the color of the input back to, so here I just said black. Okay, now we go ahead and save this. Now I'm sure you probably already, if this is not the first project you're taking here, so we've created the function, so you probably have an idea that if we don't call this function, it's not going to work. So if I come here and I type, nothing happens. So but what that means is that we actually need to call the function. Creating the function is one thing, having the function to work is another. So I'm going to come down here, right, because I can't call the function on the top, so it has to be on the bottom. How? Why? Because we created the function with this ES6 arrow function syntax, right? So you have to create it first before you call it. Unlike when you do function declaration, where you use the function keyword, you can call it from top, right, because of hoisting. Anyway, the purpose of this project is not actually to explain how function works, right? It's to help you use the knowledge you already have to implement. So here I'm just going to call the update limit, right, and I'm going to close that here, and then I'll save. So we've called the function, and as you see here that we've called the function, watch what happens here. Limit is now 50. So even though we manually typed in 100 inside of the markup, the JavaScript is what is updating this limit span. So if you refresh the page again, watch, it's still 50. Okay, so let's go ahead and test the remaining functions. So I'll come here, I'll type my, and you see that it actually starts reducing. Okay, so my name is Akpareva Ewomazino. I am a web developer. And when you get to 0, it's still black, but immediately you get to negative, the limit becomes red, and the more you keep typing, it becomes red. Then the button is also disabled. So you see, I cannot actually click on this button, it's blurred out, except if you come here and go back to the limit, within the limit. Oh, something is wrong here. So the limit is still red. Let me refresh this page and try it out again, and let me save this again. The limit.style.color. Oh, I see. So we did bulk, so there's a typographical error here. Amazing. Okay, let me set this to black. All right, so it will work fine now. Okay, so here I'm actually just going to just type out the words until it's okay. So red, button disabled. You come here, you reduce up to 1, and the button is the limit is black, the button is now enabled. So if I refresh the button, it reloads the page. So I'm just going to come below that limit, right? Should I add a comment that says tweet function or something like that, or so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an event listener on the button. Okay, yeah, I'm going to add an event listener on the button. So I will say btn right? Dot add event listener, and let's listen for a click. Let's listen for a click, and we're going to access it with an arrow function that will have an e parameter. So like this, and we get into it. So first off, because it's a form, it will refresh. So that's the behavior. So if you click on it, it refreshes the page. Oh, sorry, this is the original project. Okay, but I'm sure you already know because we've done it in several projects. So let's prevent the defaults. So prevent defaults and call the method. Okay, so down here is where we'll then call a function that will be called tweets. Come on, tweet, and then I'm going to call that. So basically what I can then do is I can then come down and create the function. So I'll say const tweet, and I'll set it to be equal to, so like so, yeah. So what do we want to do inside of this tweet? Well, let's refer to the documentation because that's basically what I used. So it's not actually something that came from my head. I did not originate it. I'm not the owner of Twitter. Okay, so if you come to the documentation, right, you will see that this is generally a button. So this is where you can actually start reading from here. Create an anchor element, blah blah blah. But you see that we have this href that says https colon slash slash twitter.com/intent/tweet. Okay, so this is how you actually start. So let's actually just do it step by step, right? So I'm going to minimize this, and I'm going to come here. I'm going to create a variable. So I'll say const, and I'll name this variable tweet input. Okay, tweet input, and I'll set it to be equal to this. Oh, I already, okay, let me see if it will take me back to where I was. Okay, yeah. No, it has actually moved the page, so let me scroll to where it is. Okay, so you see this guy here. I'll just copy it, right? Control C, and then I don't want to, I think I'll just bring it up here, and then I'll paste it in here, right? Good. So that's the first step. I can come here and close it. So let's come here and continue reading. Now if you come down here, you see that you can pre-populate the tweet text, right? Now to pre-populate the tweet text, what you need to do is you need to add the add a question mark, and then you say text, right? So but here they actually said text equals hello world, right? That's if you actually want to tweet out the text directly. So basically what we're interested in is just this query and text, because we don't want to tweet hello world. We want to tweet what is inside the input field. Okay, so I'll come here and I'll just add my question mark, and then I'll say text. Okay, oh sorry, text equals, because the text is going to be something, right? So it's equals, and then I'll stop. So what I can then do is I'll then come down and say window.open, which is meant to open a new tab, right? So I'll use templates literals inside here. Let me remove my mouse. Template literals inside, and let's do like this, and then let's call this tweet input, which is representing this link. I'll paste that in. Okay, then what do we want to tweet? We want to tweet what is inside the input, right? So I'll come here and dollar curly quotes, and then I'll say what's it called, input dot value. That's what we want to tweet. Okay, so now let's go ahead and wait. Looks like something is missing here. Looks like something is missing. Okay, let me go ahead and save. Nothing is missing. The only thing that was missing was the quotes, right? These quotes to close them up. That was the only thing missing. So now that we've saved, right, let's come back to our project. So I'll come here, go back to the, I don't think, oh no, this is not it. I've not actually opened the project. So what I'll do is I will open up the project, this fresh one we're doing. I will go to index.html and I'll right click and open with live server so that it opens in this browser here. Yeah, so this is the fresh project we just built, right? Great. So now I'll tweet something. I'll say hello, hello, my name is Zeno. I'll just stop there and then I'll tweet. So you see it opens in a new tab and let's see what happens. Voila. So you see, hello, my name is Zeno. Now if you also look at the URL here, you see that the hello, my name is Zeno is actually also imputed into the URL. Okay. So basically that's the project, right? And I actually hope that you learn something from this project and that you even implement it in maybe your website or like a blog or something that you're building. Okay. All right, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching this one. I'll see you in the next one.